Hola, ¿cómo estás todos? ¿Todos estás bien? Bueno, bienvenido. Hello, everybody. It's November 7th. Yes, November 7th, 2019. Just a couple things today. I wanted to make sure I got something done on the video and on the microphone today. A couple of things still going on. So we got got some updates on the Mexican ambush. I have I'm not necessarily a close friend, but somebody I know that's from Mexico that we do hang out with from time to time. And what they said to me was, it's as I said yesterday, they have heard that the communities in Mexico, first of all, had a pass. But they had a pass and they had protection from the cartels. But they also said that they also were told that there were some, affiliations with the cartels in one way or another. So you can take that however you like. I don't want to make any speculations, especially making them public. But I will continue to kind of look into this and see if that's a possibility or if that's actually happening. But ultimately, it still seems a little bit odd. Yet last night they said that there was or yesterday, or maybe that was this morning, they had found a suspect or two suspects in relation to the crime of those families that were burned in the cars, shot and burned in the cars in Mexico. So, like I said before, I think that there's probably something fishy going on. So just keep that in mind. Something I came across also today was Rick Rubin. If you guys know who Rick Rubin is, or if anybody knows who Rick Rubin is, if you don't know who he is, check him out. He's a producer, and he's produced some incredible songs. And I actually had no idea that he had produced some of my most favorite songs, and I was so surprised. One of those songs being one of my maybe top 5 songs is "Rock the Bells" by LL Cool J. Now, it was a pretty important point in my life, I think, when that song came out. I was around 14 or 15 years old, so you guys can go and I think that was how old I was during that time, and that song was incredible. And so I was so surprised, but he has produced such an array of songs that are really different in arrangement, different genres. He produced a song for the Bangles. He produced a song, I think a whole album for Johnny Cash. None of his songs were actually in my top songs, although I think that he's a pretty good performer and he's had some great songs himself. But if you can imagine, I think he produced some of his original songs were produced while he was still in college, and I think the college he went to was in NYU. But he produced the famous original Beastie Boys album. So that album in itself, though I have some controversial statements to make about that in the future post, but that album was actually a pretty big deal, and definitely different than the majority of things that were on the market at that time. But one of the songs was a song called "It's Yours" by T. La Rock and Jazzy J. And you'd have to be pretty old to know who that song was. He produced a song called "The Love Removal Machine" by The Cult, which was a great song. Beastie Boys' "Girls." So I don't know if he produced the whole album, but he produced some of their major songs off of Time to Get Ill. I think that was the name of that album. And then he apparently Queen did this song "We Will Rock You" and "We Are the Champions," and he remixed that song and made the popular version, I think, that we hear now. After the remix, the song became super popular. He did "Californication" by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. One of my favorite songs is one of the most moving songs in terms of not because of the lyrics, but just because of the arrangement and the track itself was, and the way this particular person sang the song was "He Won't Go," 2010 by Adele. Excellent song. So another song he produced. Another incredible song too is "Angel of Death" by Slayer. I don't know if I'll go through all these songs, but number one song on the list in the top 25, and I think this was in Complex magazine, was "Rock the Bells," which probably is, I don't know, maybe number two song for me, maybe number three because I have another rap song as number two. Another interesting song, though, just to give you an idea of how eclectic his abilities were, is a song by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers called "Mary Jane's Last Dance," which was a great song as well. Apparently, he took Johnny Cash out of retirement. The industry had kind of thrown him by the wayside, and Rick Rubin convinced him to produce another album, and they recognized within that time together that actually he was not a country star, but more of a folk singer. And so they focused on that genre a little bit more. For those people who will hear this in the future that are not from Los Angeles, just to switch gears here a little bit, also there's a country song in there called "Long Way Around" by the Dixie Chicks, FY, 2006. The guy just, that would be, he would be one of those people I'd like to just spend a lot of time with and understand how his brain works, because what he did over the past 30 some odd years is insane in terms of his the amount of quality product that he put out. LA is in a crisis right now. Not this fire crisis, although we're in sort of a crisis pertaining to wildfires as well. But we have a homelessness crisis. And if you've never been to Los Angeles, there's a place called Skid Row in Los Angeles, in downtown Los Angeles. And you probably, if you were to walk down there at night, you probably won't come back. In a lot of cases, there are a lot of people down there with drug problems, and, mental illness, and homelessness. And I watched a video today where they interviewed a bunch of people, and people were essentially so interested in being drug addicts and derelicts to some degree that they had no interest in not being homeless. So some people blame it on what they're calling a housing crisis. I think that's nonsense. There's no such thing as a housing crisis. I think that one thing's for sure: you can move out of the expensive areas in Los Angeles and find areas that are less expensive. Most areas are expensive, however, compared to the rest of the world. But anyway, some people were saying that it's people were homeless because they lost their homes or lost their shelter in some form or fashion, and then found themselves homeless. There is actually a deeper reason for why, and it goes back how many years? Let me think. 40 years. One of your presidents, who people love, actually took away some funding for some programs, and they say that that's more the reason why there's such a homelessness issue across the country. So that's something you should look into. But LA has some of the worst homeless situations, really across the city. And they say it's somewhere around 65,000 people. So really the size of a mid-sized city. 65,000 people is that's a lot of people. So that is definitely a crisis, and I'm not sure what can be done about it. But if you have any ideas, I recommend you comment to your local officials to figure out how to combat homelessness, and essentially not let this continue to be or to get worse. It is something that is happening across the country, and it's something that's getting worse. Because when I first came to LA has always had a Skid Row, but it has exploded since I came here in the 90s. And what I mean by exploded is there are thousands more people than there were before. Another something on the books today is I guess there's some more allegations that came out about Woody Allen, and Jeff Goldblum said that he would definitely work with Woody Allen again because none of the things that have been said or reported about Mr. Allen have actually been proven to be true, and there's a presumption of innocence when it comes to people, and he stands by that. And I'll just go on the record and say, if we don't live by that kind of code where we convict people before they're actually found guilty, then there is essentially no code, and we're going to have some serious trouble in the future if people can just be convicted without any kind of due process. So Ray J, who is the brother of Brandy, the I guess you would consider the genre of singing R&B. She or he is, well, I think I read a while ago that he's taken over he's the executor, or Suge Knight has given him full control over his estate. And which is interesting because apparently Ray J is a pretty good businessman. He has a tech company that puts out tech products, and I hear they're pretty good. I haven't used any of them, but I know people that at least have the earphones, and I think he has a wireless speaker that they had too that they liked. But apparently Ray J is going to meet with Donald Trump to see if Suge Knight can be pardoned for his manslaughter charge. So maybe I will assume it's the best time to do that because Donald Trump is probably looking for some extra votes from a particular group of people, and that may help him get that. So that's it for today. We just ran through some things really quickly. Some of those things I think you should check out. Rick Rubin, and if you could, the more people looking into the issues that are being reported via the news and not just taking them at face value, but actually looking into them, the better, and putting up what you found and your detailed information. It would be great if everybody did that, because then we could actually find the truth. Good night, everybody.